The stars looked calm, peaceful. But somewhere beyond the black, something moved fast, quiet, deadly. Outpost Vega-9 had been orbiting the edge of the Kuiper Belt for years. It wasn't flashy, just a listening post, built to watch deep space and track strange signals. Only 6 people lived there, and the AI handled most of the work. Then the message came. At 3:17 UTC, the signal hit. It wasn't from Earth. It wasn't even from known space. The wave pattern was sharp, layered, and pulsing like a heartbeat. A young officer named Jules Carter tried to decode it, but the AI named Echo said something was wrong. The tone of its voice changed. It sounded afraid. Then Jules whispered one word, right before the feed cut out. Run, and Vega-9 was gone. No explosion, no emergency signal, just silence. At Earth Command, alarms went off in the dark. Commander Reese Langford stood in the cold light of the control room, staring at the black screen where Vega-9 used to be. No readings, no crew. Just a faint echo bouncing back like something had swallowed the outpost whole. What do we know? He asked. Last message was fragmented, said LT Morrow, his aide. Only one word got through. Run. Reese's jaw tightened. Vega-9 had top-tier stealth, sensor coverage, and shield defense. If something wiped it out that fast, it was more than just an accident. Within the hour, Earth's Command launched a scout ship. The Arrow. Small, fast, and quiet. It raced toward the last known location of Vega-9. The pilot, Lieutenant Hannah Yu, had one job: get there.
Got it.
Observe and report. No fighting. When she arrived, everything looked wrong. Vega-9's orbit had shifted. The station spun slowly, lights flickering. One docking bay was torn open like paper. Strange markings burned into the hull, shimmered with a faint blue glow. Hannah docked anyway. She stepped inside, gun raised, flashlight sweeping the dark. No bodies, no blood, but something had been here. Doors were warped. Walls had gashes too large for normal weapons. The AI core was melted from the inside. And across the control room, scratched into metal, were words written by human hand. It watches from the silence. Hannah's breathing grew heavier. Her helmet camera caught it all and sent the footage back to Earth. That's when it activated. A small orb, tucked behind a wall crack, began pulsing. A beacon. Not human. Not from any known race. It sent out a single blast of light, one that bypassed Earth's security firewalls and transmitted Vega-9's location to deep space. But not just Vega-9, Earth's location too. Then it shut off Hannah. Got out, back on Earth. Reese watched the data scroll across his screen. That wasn't just a signal, he muttered. It was a tracker. A beacon, Morrow asked. No, Reese said. A call. He tapped his console and pulled up records of recent contact with a mysterious species known as the Karnox. Traders had spotted them years ago, tall, insect-like, with dark cloaking ships and zero diplomatic effort. No communication. No alliances. No known homeworld. It's just sightings and then disappearances. Reese rubbed his temples. If it was them, it didn't come to say hello, and then came the second signal. It wasn't loud. In fact, it was almost too quiet, like a whisper. In an empty room. It showed up on every listening station, bouncing across old satellite arrays, piggybacking on old Earth broadcasts. The pattern was similar to what Vega-9 received. But now, it was clearer. The AI processed it through a dozen language engines. The final translation showed just one line. Earth is soft. Take them before they awaken. Reese stared at it. His blood ran cold. The Karnox weren't just coming, they thought Earth was weak. They didn't know what humans were like when they were cornered. When they were afraid, and they had everything to lose. Reese stood up straight, shut down all long-range broadcasts, send alerts to all orbital stations, and scrambled the Shadowline protocol. Morrow blinked. You're activating it? Don't wait for monsters to knock on the door, Reese said. We make sure they regret opening it, far beyond Earth, somewhere in the dark. Something was already moving toward them. It had heard the signal. It had tasted the silence, and it was hungry. But Earth wasn't what it used to be this time. Humanity would not wait. This time, they would hunt back. Asterisk, the silence didn't last long. 3 days after the beacon was triggered, Earth's outer defenses picked up something, 3 moving objects far beyond Pluto. At first, they looked like drifting asteroids. But they weren't drifting. They were watching. Reese stood in Earth Command's main war room, eyes locked on the display. The Karnox had arrived. Small ships, fast, silent, not broadcasting anything. They just hovered at the edge of the system, studying, scanning. "They're not trying to hide," Morrow said beside him. "No," Reese replied. "They want us to know we've been seen." Then one of the Karnox ships fired. It didn't aim. At Earth, it hit a small satellite relay near Neptunon old communications hub. 1 blast. Gone. Then the second ship fired, this time at a military listening buoy near Uranus. Same result, the third didn't fire, turned toward the sun, and disappeared. Cloaked again. Gone from all sensors, Reese tightened his fist. "We're testing us, finding weaknesses." General Adira, head of orbital defense, joined him. "We can't stop them, not yet, but we can prepare." "What's our public response?" She shook her head. "We don't tell them, not yet. Earth panics easily. We'll keep it quiet while we get ready." Reese nodded. That was standard protocol. But his mind was somewhere else. He wasn't thinking about panic. He was thinking about something more dangerous. Trust. For years, the Karnox had been little more than shadows and explorer logs. No attacks. No messages. Just rumors and missing ships. Until now, he needed to understand them. Fast that night. Reese walked into the old intelligence core, a buried research lab beneath the Andes. Only a few people were allowed access. Here Earth stored decades of intercepted alien data, translations, and behavioral studies. Most were incomplete. Some were lies. But all of it was useful. He pulled up everything on the Karnox. Very little was recorded. Traders had seen their ships long, black, almost insect-shaped. No windows, no lights. Only one thing had been found. On a wrecked ship, drifting near Alpha Centauri 5 years ago. Kind of neural net. Organic. Alive. It had one purpose: absorbing. It's data, not just data from machines. Data from minds. That's when it hit him. "They don't take planets," Reese whispered. "They take thought." He ran to the AI console. "Echo. Run a full sweep of our planetary signal grid. Check for pattern overlaps. Not just in defense systems. All networks, media, education, culture." The results came back in seconds. The Karnox signal, first heard at Vega 9, had embedded itself across hundreds of channels. Not dangerous, not loud, but always present. Repeating one phrase, hidden beneath human noise: "Earth is soft." That wasn't a warning. It was programming. A seed. Reese stood still. He understood now. The Karnox weren't just an invasion force. They were an infection. Studied, learned, spread, and then erased. Once they understood you, they broke. You. But Earth was different. Reese left the lab and made his way to the underground. Tactical command near Oslo. The planet's best military minds were already there, forming plans. General Adira, Dr. Lin from Defense AI, and Commander Hale from the Lunar Fleet, he laid it out for them. The way the Karnox were using human signals. How they were not aiming at cities or ships, but at memory, behavior, logic. "They want to rewrite us before they destroy us," he said. "We can't let them." Hill said. "We won't," Reese replied. "We're going dark." He looked at him. No global signals. No open transmissions. All satellites redirected. All AI cores firewalled. "We cut the Karnox off from the feed." Dr. Lin frowned. "That means no interplanetary comms, no navigation, no coordination." Reese nodded. "We do it the old way, manual. Short range, light pulses, if we have to." General Adira's face hardened. "You're serious?" "They think we need our networks to fight," Reese said. "Let's show them we don't." By dawn, Earth began to shut itself off. Cities went quiet. Satellites stopped broadcasting. Civilian systems were redirected to underground backups. News media vanished. More. Global web. No more voice across space. To the rest of the galaxy, it looked like Earth had fallen silent, or worse, been conquered. But inside those darkened systems, something was building. Old military bases were powering up. Engineers were reviving cold. Storage drones, submarines resurfaced as temporary comms hubs. Even long-dead radio towers flickered back to life. Reese stood before a holographic map. "They think we're weak," he said. "They think we need tech to win." He turned to the others. "Let's show them what humans really are." Far beyond the moon, in the shadows of Saturn's rings, Karnox ships circled, still watching, still waiting, but this time Earth wasn't looking back. Not yet. For 5 days, Earth stayed quiet. No signals, no broadcasts. Not even a weather report made it off-world. From the outside, it looked like the planet had shut down. Even friendly alien traders couldn't reach anyone. The stars around Earth dimmed. Space grew still. But it wasn't silence. It was Strategy Commander Reese Langford, sat in a cold command center buried under the Rockies, watching coded light pulses flicker on a secure wall display. Messages between bases sent in patterns only. Old radar systems could understand. Every message confirmed the same thing. Earth's blackout was working. The Karnox weren't getting in, but they were still there. Karnox ships circled the solar system. They hadn't moved in 2 days. No attacks, no signals, just sitting waiting. He could feel the pressure building, like a storm hiding behind clouds. Then the storm came. At 3:43, Earth's Mars colony lost power. All of it. The backup systems never came on. Communications dark, shields offline. 1 hour later, the colony's last signal got through, a whisper of static, followed by screaming. Reese didn't wait for orders. He activated Earth's emergency protocol. Mirror Phase 1. It wasn't a counterattack. It was a move to confuse. Across the system, Earth launched empty drones. Hundreds of them. Each looked like a warship. Same size, same shape. They drifted in scattered patterns, releasing decoy signals and false codes. To the Karnox, they looked like real targets. Sudden fleet rising from the shadows. The bait worked. Within hours, the Karnox moved. They attacked a wave of drones near Jupiter. Another fleet chased ghost ships around Saturn. But the real Earth ships remained hidden in asteroid fields and abandoned mining stations. Reese watched the battle reports come in. "We're not trying to win," he said quietly. "Just make them question what they see." General Adira, patched in from a deep-sea command vessel, agreed. "Let's make sure they never trust their own sensors again." But the Karnox were not easily fooled. They adjusted fast. Reese's team intercepted strange data spikes. Karnox ships were no longer scanning signals, they were scanning human minds. At first, no one believed it. But then a pattern emerged. People who had interacted with Karnox, systems engineers, analysts, even a pilot who once touched part of a wrecked Karnox ship started behaving strangely. Confused, forgetful, lost it. Was like something inside their heads had been scrambled. Dr. Ira Nadi ran brain scans on several victims. The results were terrifying. "They've learned to rewrite neurons using signal patterns," she said. "The Karnox can reach into your thoughts and erase." Reese felt a chill settle into his bones. "How do we stop it?" "Shut everything down," Ira said. "Exposed minds. No open systems. No AI contact. Full mental isolation." The problem? It meant isolating entire bases, even from each other. Earth's forces would have to operate blind. Reese nodded. "We go old school." All across the planet and in orbit, military teams moved into total signal lockdown. Ships went dark. Pilots trained with paper maps. Commands were delivered on printed pages. No voice, no data links, just humans working by instinct, memory, and grit. Still, the Karnox kept hunting. They stopped firing at decoys. They started scanning Earth directly again. Their cloaked ships now hovered over oceans, deserts, the poles everywhere that once had open signals. They were searching for the mind. Then came the worst moment yet, an old satellite one left behind. By a private company, powered back on by mistake. Just one ping, just one automatic system. But it was enough. A Karnox warship moved instantly. It shot through space like a spear and destroyed the satellite. But it didn't stop there. It turned. Toward Earth, the ship didn't broadcast a warning. It didn't wait. It activated its main weapona, massive beam designed to fry electronics across an entire continent. Reese could only watch as it charged, its glow lighting up half the sky. But just as the weapon was about to fire, it stopped. Karnox's ship flickered, wobbled, then vanished, imploding from the inside. Reese and his team stared at the screen in silence. "What just happened?" Morrow asked. Reese checked the last transmission from the satellite. It had sent out a reply signal, but not a human one. It had bounced back a modified Karnox code. One they had captured days ago and encrypted. They hadn't known it would work. But it had Dr. Ira burst into the room seconds later. "I think we found their blind spot." Reese turned to her. "They learned from us," she said, "but now maybe we can teach them something they can't unlearn." Reese leaned over the console. "Then let's start the lesson." The battle hadn't started with fire, but the next part would. Asterisk. The room was quiet. But Reese's heart was racing. They had taken a risk letting that old satellite send a signal, and somehow it worked. The Karnox ship that tried to fire on Earth collapsed in on itself, like something inside broke apart. That one moment changed everything. Dr. Ira ran tests all night. The signal the satellite bounced back wasn't random. It was a kind of eco-something copied from a Karnox data burst a few days earlier, but Earth had scrambled it just slightly. That tiny change caused the Karnox ship to crash there. "Not just machines," Ira said, standing beside a messy display of signal codes and brain scans. "They're link part, organic part system. They learn together. They think together. But they also fall together." Reese looked at the screen. "So if we send the right signal, we confuse them," she finished. "Or break them. But only if it spreads." Reese called an emergency meeting underground. Commanders from every corner of Earth joined via secure relay. No satellites, no open comms, just direct lines built into deep bunkers. "We've found a way to fight back," he told them. "Not with guns, not yet, with code." He explained the scrambled signal, how it caused a Karnox ship to collapse, how it might infect more of them if broadcast wide enough. General Adira was the first to speak. "You want to infect their minds?" "No," Reese said. "I want to flip the switch, make them feel what we felt." Proposed a new plan, Mir. Phase 2, build a fake network. A TRAV, one that looked like Earth's systems were coming back online, but really, it would be a giant broadcast tower sending out the Karnox-SCRAMBLER. It had to be big, loud, global, and it had to happen fast. Within hours, engineers and tech teams rushed to an old orbital station called Helios 5, which had been shut down years ago. It was still floating near Earth's upper orbit. Dusty and forgotten, but its core was intact. Its antennas were perfect. Reese oversaw the operation himself. He watched as workers restored power, rewired systems, and loaded the signal into its old transmitters. The scrambled code glowed on the main screen, looping like a heartbeat. But they knew the Karnox were watching. On the 5th day of construction, a Karnox scout ship appeared near Helios 5. No lights, no weapons, just there. "Waiting? Do we abort?" Morrow asked. "No," Reese said. "That means they're interested." He ordered the broadcast to begin. At exactly midnight, Helios 5 lit up like a small sun. Scrambled signal burst outward, waves of code bouncing off satellites, old towers, even buried antennas. Earth came alive, but not really. It was all fake, designed to draw attention, and it worked. Within 20 minutes, 4 Karnox ships moved in. One fired. The others stayed back. The beam struck Helios 5 directly, but the station held long enough to complete the broadcast. Then, something strange happened. The attacking Karnox ship slowed, its lights dimmed, started to spin slowly, then faster until it tore itself apart in silence. The other 3 ships didn't fire. They just sat there. Are they stunned? Morrow whispered. I don't think they know what to do, Reese said. We broke their rhythm. Back on Earth, Dr. Ira was tracking something new. Across every Karnox signal, the same pattern had started to repeat. Confusion, errors, collisions. Between thought and machine, they're not just damaged, she said. They're stuck, like they're trying to rewrite themselves. Reese saw a window and he took it. Prepare the next step. Earth launched small scout drones. Silent. Ones made from both human parts and captured Karnox tech. They flew toward the frozen Karnox ships near Helios 5, carrying more scrambled signals and tight beams. No attacks. Just noise. At first nothing happened. Then one Karnox ship turned and crashed into another. Reese stood in shock. They're breaking each other? They can't tell who's infected, Ira said. They think we've already spread inside their hive. More ships pulled back, deeper into space. Earth's skies grew clear again, but the silence was heavy. They'll come back, Morrow said quietly. I know, Reese said. Next time. Stronger, smarter. He turned to the room. Let me get smarter too. In hidden labs, engineers began studying Karnox tech more closely. Pieces of crashed ships, signal cores, organic processors. They mapped out the structure of the Karnox's hive systems, and they found something shocking. A weakness. Every ship, every drone, every signal, every node was connected through a deep relay, kind of brain buried far beyond Earth's reach. Reese pointed to it on the map. This is where it starts, maybe where it ends. He didn't know yet where the war would go. But now, for the first time since Veganine was lost, humanity had a way forward. The wreckage floated like broken glass in space. Bits of Karnox hull, its torn metal, and pulsing organic tissue drifted in silence near the orbit of Helios 5. Earth's scouts had recovered what they could. Most pieces were dangerous, still alive, still reacting to touch, deep underground, in a hidden lab beneath Greenland's ice. Dr. Ira Nadi examined one of the larger fragments. It looked like a nerve. It pulsed with color, changed shape when exposed to heat, and even twitched when scanned. This isn't just tech, she said to Reese over a secure line. It's thought. Like a brain sliced into parts. Reese didn't like the sound of that. But what worried him more was something else. While Earth had gained time by using the scrambled signal, they hadn't stopped the Karnox. The remaining enemy ships had vanished again, just like before. No trace, no signal, just silence. Then a message came. It wasn't sent through normal channels. No signal towers, no satellites. It came from one of the Karnox fragments itself. Somehow, it had reactivated and broadcasted one message through a low-frequency pulse. We are not alone. Ira's face turned pale when she read it. They're not just talking to us, she said. They're warning someone else. Reese stared at the line of text. So, there's more of them. He called for an emergency council. Leaders from Earth's military, science, and engineering teams gathered in the deep Arctic vault. Reese stood at the front, a digital map behind him showing the solar system and beyond. The Karnox hive isn't here, he said. This was just the edge. He pointed to a system beyond Pluto, barely scanned by probes. We think this is where their command node is hiding, the brain behind everything. If we can reach it, we might end this before it spreads farther. General Ladira leaned forward. We're sending a ship, not just any ship, Reese said. We're building one. In a hidden hangar beneath Antarctica, teams had been working quietly for weeks. They had taken pieces of Karnox tech and merged them with Earth's strongest materials: steel, alloys, carbon cores. The result was a sleek, dark vessel, unlike anything built before. It was named the Silencer. Powered by both human engines and modified organic drives, the ship could move fast, quiet, and slip through Karnox tracking. Reese would lead the mission himself. It was risky, but there was no choice. If that node wakes up fully, Reese told his team, Earth won't survive the next wave. Inside the Silencer, the air was cold. The ship pulsed softly, alive with strange energy. Reese stood on the bridge with a small team: Dr. Ira, 2 experienced pilots, and a communications officer named Laren, who used to work in deep-sea submarine warfare. Their goal: sneak past the Karnox patrols, find the hive node, and upload a stronger version of the scrambled signal. One that wouldn't just confuse it, would collapse the hive from the inside. They launched at midnight. No lights, no ceremony, just silence. The journey past Neptune took days. Silencer moved like a shadow, running cold, using light-dampening armor and a navigation AI that barely spoke. Rhys and Ira took turns watching the sensors, while the rest of the crew kept to their stations. Then, just past the edge of the Kuiper Belt, they saw it. A dark cloud. It wasn't made of gas or dust. It was made of ships. Hundreds, maybe more. All connected, all pulsing, all alive. At the center, glowing faintly red, sat the hive node. It was massive. It's bigger than Earth's moon, covered in sharp layers like armor grown from bone. It didn't move. It didn't blink. But Rhys could feel. It watching, they had one chance. Ira activated the signal core, loaded with the new virus. Rhys brought the silencer in close. They weaved through the edge of the fleet, quiet and invisible. But then, something unexpected happened. The hive opened. Not with weapons, not with anger, with invitation. The ships around them backed away. A hole formed in the cloud, leading directly to the center. "They're letting us in," Laren whispered. "Why?" Ira asked. Rhys's eyes narrowed. "They think we've already lost." He pushed the ship forward. No turning back now, asterisk. Asters. The silencer moved through the heart of the Karnox fleet without a single warning shot. Rhys watched from the front screen as the living ships drifted aside, almost respectfully, giving them a clear path to the hive. No alarms, no movement. Just slow, eerie silence. Inside the ship, no one spoke. Dr. Ira stared at the glowing red mass ahead. "It's a trap," she whispered. "Of course it is," Rhys said softly. "But we walk into it." Anyway, they followed the path through the cloud of enemy ships. The hive was close. Now too close. Up close, it looked like a planet made of bone and glass. It pulsed like it was breathing. The moment they entered the red light zone, everything changed. The ship shuddered. Lights dimmed. The screens filled with static, and then they heard it. A voice, not over the speakers, not in the air, but in their heads. "You are the signal." Rhys gripped the console. "Ignore it, stay focused." The others were frozen. Laren was shaking. I saw my brother. He's been dead for years." The voice whispered again. "We are not enemies. We are memory. You broadcast pain. We quiet it." Ira turned to Rhys. "It's trying to talk, not through language, through emotion." He nodded. "It's showing us what it wants." The lights on the silencer flickered again. Images flashed across the screen, cities burning, people crying, history fading into dust. The Karnox weren't conquerors, they were cleaners. They believed they were helping, erasing pain. But to humans, memory, good or bad, was everything. Ira quickly activated the signal core. "We have to finish this now." She uploaded the final virus into the main drive. Rhys brought the ship to a slow halt, just outside the hive's skin. There was no door, no port, just a pulsing spot like a heartbeat on the surface. They fired. The signal, at first, nothing. Then everything changed. The hive screamed, not in sound, but in light. A blinding flash burst out in every direction. The cloud of ships around them shook. Some twitched. Others spun out of control. Rhys could barely breathe. The whole ship trembled. Systems went offline. Ira collapsed to the floor. The hive was collapsing inwards. But then, a surge of energy hit the silencer. The hull groaned. Warnings flashed red across every panel. Something was pulling them in. "Reverse engines," Rhys shouted. No response. Laren yelled back, "It's got us." The hive wasn't dying peacefully. It was taking them with it. Rhys moved fast. He grabbed a power cell from under the console, one of the few human-made emergency boosters, and jammed it into the override slot. The engines roared to life. The ship jerked hard. breaking free from the gravity pull just in time. Behind them, the hive started to fold in on itself. The red glow became orange, then white, and gone. All around Karnox, ships began to flicker. Some drifted, others exploded. A few turned and vanished into deep space like frightened animals. And then, silence again. Real silence. Rhys looked around the bridge. The team was still alive. Barely he turned to Ira. Did it work? She nodded weakly. The node is gone. The hive won't function without it. Rhys leaned back in his seat. They had done it, but the cost wasn't clear yet. Back on Earth, weeks passed, no Karnox signals. No new attacks. The skies were quiet. Rhys and his team returned home as quiet heroes. There were no parades. No news. Their mission was still top secret. But in underground labs, something had changed. Dr. Ira held up a new device, a small sphere, glowing faintly blue. "We made this from what we learned," she told the council. "It's not a weapon. It's a warning. If the Karnox or anything like them ever return, we'll know." Rhys stood beside her. His face was tired. "Older, they thought memory was a curse," he said. "We showed them it's our strength." Later that night, Rhys walked alone. Through a memorial garden, names of the lost were etched in glass walls around him. Vega 29, Mars Base, Helios-5. He stopped and touched one of the names. Then he looked up at the stars and smiled. Because this time, Earth had survived, and now they were ready. 3 months passed. Not a single Karnox ship returned. The stars above Earth were quiet again. But this time, the silence didn't feel like fear, it felt like victory. Commander Rhys. Langford stood aboard the newly built station Horizon 1. Orbiting just beyond the moon, it wasn't a warbase. It was something new, part science lab, part defense hub, and part listening post. A monument to what humanity had learned. The Karnox were gone. The hive had collapsed. No more whispers. No more shadow ships. Whatever pieces of them still floated in the void were quiet, now disconnected, confused. It's no longer able to speak to each other, but Earth remembered. Rhys walked the quiet halls of Horizon 1, nodding at young officers, many of them new recruits, barely in their 20s. They had grown up watching cities burn. They knew the cost of peace. They didn't want medals. They wanted purpose. Down in the command bay, Dr. Ira Nadi was working with a new team of scientists. She had aged in those 3 months, but her mind was sharper than ever. "We finished the scans," she told Rhys. "The last energy burst from the hive traveled beyond our system, far beyond." "You think someone else heard it?" he asked. She nodded. "It's not the Karnox, something else. Maybe Watchers. Maybe other hives. Or maybe someone like us." Rhys was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "Should we be afraid?" "No," Ira said. "We should be ready." Earth wasn't hiding anymore. The blackout was over. Communications were back. Online, satellites repaired, cities rebuilt. But things were different now. Stronger. Humans didn't rely on just machines anymore. They trained people to think like the old days, map reading, silent signals, ITI trust. They used tech, but they weren't owned by it. Rhys walked out onto the observation deck below. Earth looked peaceful. Clouds drifted, lights glowed across the continents. Somewhere down there, life had started over. He thought about Vega 9, about the first signal, the fear, the silence, the fire, and how close it had come to ending everything. But humans didn't break. They adapted. That was their true weapon. Far beyond Earth, a small ship drifted through deep space. It was a scout drone, one built with both human and Karnox parts. It didn't carry weapons. Just a message, simple one, sent out in all directions on a slow, wide signal. The message said, "We survived. We remember. You're ready." The galaxy would hear it, and those who once thought Earth was soft, who thought humans would kneel and vanish, would now think twice. In the Galactic Council, quiet conversations had already started. Reports of Earth's defense were spreading. Other species, once unsure about humanity, were now watching closely. Some reached out, cautiously, respectfully, not as rulers, but as equals. One day Earth would join them, not as a quiet, primitive world, but as a voice in the stars. Reese knew that day wasn't far off. Back on Horizon 1, stepped into a darkened hallway, away from the noise, and stared through the glass. A small ship launched from the station, heading toward the next moonbase. It was quiet, clean, built with parts from both Earth and the ruins of Karnox. Tech peaceful, but ready for anything. Dr. Ira joined him a moment later. She stood beside him holding 2 cups of coffee. He took one with a quiet smile. How long? Before someone else knocks on our door? She sipped. Maybe next year? Maybe next century. But next time they won't find us sleeping. Reese nodded. They'll find a planet that remembers. He looked up at the stars again. Seemed so far anymore. He didn't know what came next. New friends, new threats, or something stranger than both. But one thing was certain. Earth had earned its place in the galaxy, not because of its weapons, not because of its ate, but because of its people. People who refused to forget. People who stood when others fell. People who turned silence into strength. And when the next signal comes, somewhere out there in the dark, humanity will answer, together.